Parasite, Gu, breeding long vitae path, starting from the love-enamored Gu. By Thousand Lakes True Person. Chapter 191, Heart Eye Linguistics, the Fall of the Foundation Establishment Elder of Immortal Mist Sect. Of course, 3 years was still too short a time. Despite managing to advance his swordsmanship cultivation to an upper tier of the second stage, his progress on alchemy deo, runes, and formations was minimal. The same was true for various skill progressions. After all, this is the reality of cultivation. If you don't practice diligently, there's no advancement in your abilities. Not only will you not progress, but sometimes you can even regress. This is why ordinary cultivators usually specialize in only one path and would not dabble in other paths. Because human energy is finite, and so is time. It's impossible for everyone to forge ahead and make progress on every path, to reap rewards and become versatile in all aspects. If it weren't for the help of the bookworm, Zhou Sui would not dare to do so. Otherwise, no matter how long his lifespan is, it would not be enough to sustain his consumption. Of course, besides these, the biggest progress he made was in his 7 apertures spirit secret. Now, he was beginning to form his third heart eyes. This heart eye was named Heart Eye Linguistics. Once it is formed, one will be able to understand the language of all things. Honestly, this ability is quite important. Because in the cultivation world, there are countless races and beings, each with their different languages. If one can master the languages of these beings, then no matter where you go, you are like a local, and never fear being unable to adapt to unfamiliar places. At noon, Zhou Sui returned to the living room of Immortal Mist Peak. His wives and concubines had already prepared lunch. The table was loaded with a dazzling array of dishes, all giving off tantalizing aromas. Through years of practice, their cooking skills had improved greatly. Each dish was so appetizing that it made people drool. Whoosh! Right now, Lang Yuexi hurried back from outside, her face solemn, as if something big had just happened. Yuexi, what happened? Has something big happened to the Immortal Mist Sect? Zhou Sui asked curiously. He could tell from Lang Yuexi's expression that definitely something serious had happened. Otherwise, Lang Yuexi would not have such an expression, it was very rare of her. Indeed, something big has happened. Didn't I forcefully order that no cultivator from the Immortal Mist Sect was allowed to explore the Yuanying cave house of the old ancestor of the Blood Shadow? Unfortunately, some Foundation establishment elders didn't obey the order. For example, Array Peak Master Yao Wen, Reward and Punishment Hall Master Shueki Yang, Refining Equipment Hall Master Luo Dingtian, and others. They teamed up and headed to the Yuanying cave house of the old ancestor of the Blood Shadow. Lang Yuexi said in a deep voice. Oh, did they encounter some accident? Zhou Sui raised an eyebrow. Exactly. During the process of trying to break the prohibition array of the Yuanying cave house, they accidentally suffered a backlash from the prohibition and were seriously injured on the spot. After leaving the cave house, they even encountered an ambush by other foreign Foundation establishment cultivators. The result, as you can imagine, is that Luo Dingtian and Reward and Punishment Hall Master Shueki Yang died on the spot, while Yao Wen barely survived and escaped back to the Immortal Mist Sect by risking his life. Even so, he was seriously injured, losing one hand and one leg, and his root was damaged. He has no hope of reaching the Golden Core realm in his lifetime, and he even failed to maintain his cultivation in the late stage of Foundation establishment. Lang Yuexi said with a touch of helplessness. Luo Dingtian and Shueki Yang are dead. And Yao Wen is severely injured, becoming disabled, and has no hope for the Golden Core. Upon hearing this, Zhou Sui was speechless. Although he knew these Foundation establishment elders of the Immortal Mist Sect might not get what they wished for by venturing to the Yuanying cave house to obtain treasures. Who could have imagined that they would die inside the cave house before it was fully decrypted? Even Yao Wen barely managed to return to the Immortal Mist Sect alive, expending all his hidden knowledge. It seemed that he basically had no hope of reaching the Golden Core stage in his life. He had originally thought these Foundation establishment cultivators could cause him some trouble. But now it seemed that they didn't even have the chance to do so. However, this also reflected a glimpse of the cultivation world. Because cultivation resources are scarce, every cultivator needs to take risks for breakthroughs. But there is no such easy thing in the world. Since it's a risk, it's impossible to profit every time. Once failed, you will be completely wiped out. Luo Dingtian and Reward and Punishment Hall Master Shueki Yang were examples. They were elders of the Immortal Mist Sect, former prodigies with upper-grade spirit roots. But so what? A moment's carelessness led to their deaths and the complete severing of their cultivation path. This is why Zhou Sui is reluctant to leave Immortal Mist Peak. If he could cultivate safely and steadily here until he reaches the Golden Core stage, why should he take risks? Especially in a dangerous place like the Yuanying Cave House, one never knows what unexpected factors there might be. A little carelessness could lead to death inside the Yuanying Cave House. I didn't expect such distinguished elders of the Immortal Mist sect, who are Foundation establishment cultivators and have been cultivating for many years, to die so easily. The cultivation world is truly too dangerous. Ji Binjiu said with emotion. She had originally thought that Foundation establishment cultivators should be able to live safely for more than 200 years. But now it seemed that the reality was not so. Even cultivators in the Foundation establishment realm could lose their lives if they encountered danger. Master Husband was right. Although the Yuanying Cave House indeed contains many chances, it's just too dangerous. We're not fortunate enough to enjoy these opportunities, it's better for us to honestly practice in the Immortal Mist sect. By now, Muzii increasingly agreed with her husband's approach. If her husband hadn't been so cautious, never recklessly taking risks, they might not have been able to cultivate to their current stage or enjoy such a good cultivation environment. If they continue to cultivate step by step, it's very hopeful for them to reach the Golden Core stage. Sister Ling, it may not be a bad thing that these troublemakers are dead. They always seem to respect you on the surface, but in reality, they would often disobey your orders. Now that they're dead, you can install your loyal followers to take their original positions. Especially that Array Peak Master Yao Wen, who has been gathering allies for these years. It's said that he even once declared in front of many Foundation establishment elders that after he forms his Golden Core, he would definitely remove you from office and become the leader of the Immortal Mist sect. Xia Jinjian thought that it was good that these Foundation establishment cultivators were dead. Now, the Immortal Mist sect was truly ruled by Lang Yuexi alone, her words carried absolute authority. She also found Array Peak Master Yao Wen very ridiculous. For the sake of core formation, he banded together, willingly took risks, and acted as if he was trying to start his own sect of the Immortal Mist sect. But in the end, he died during the exploration of the Yuanying Cave House. Basically, he had never caused them any trouble. They had initially regarded him as a great foe and been wary, watching his every move closely. Who could have imagined that before they could take action, he already died? Chapter 192 to 192 Clone sets out, exploring the cave mansion of the Blood Shadow Ancestor. Looking at it that way, it is indeed a good thing. Previously, quite a few Foundation establishment elders had complained about my decision. But now, after these troublemakers died, they have all gone quiet. Hearing these words, Lang Yuexi can't help but nod in agreement. She used to get on many Foundation establishment elders' bad side with her decision not to explore the Blood Shadow's cave. Although they would not say anything publicly, there were still many complaints behind the scenes. But after the Array Peak Master Yao Wen and the Reward and Punishment Hall Master Shueqi Yang, among others, died, the troublemakers shut up completely. Those Foundation establishment elders also finally realized the danger of the Blood Shadow's cave. You could say it was like a giant vortex of war. If you get involved without enough strength, it will be certain death without a way out. It seems that the nascent soul cave has increasingly become dangerous. Could the Fourth Order array there be about to be broken? Zhou Sui squints his eyes, seemingly sensing the approach of danger. Yes, my husband sure has an eagle eye. The Fourth Order array, under the attack of 20 or 30 Golden Core Masters, after being constantly hit for 8 years, has nearly depleted its Spirit Stone energy. If it continues like this, the nascent soul cave's defensive formation will surely be destroyed. And then the long-awaited peace may be shattered. Said Lang Yuexi solemnly. For the past 8 years, the Immortal Mist sect has actually gained more benefits than losses. Because a lot of foreign cultivators came to the Immortal Mist sect's territory, bringing an abundance of spirit stones, pills, magical artifacts, materials, secret books, talismans, etc., effectively transforming the Immortal Mist Island into a trading center. During this period, the Immortal Mist sect made a fortune. The amount of money they've made in the last 8 years is comparable to the income of the past few decades. If the nascent soul cave has not been attacked so far, they probably could match the wealth of more than a dozen Golden Core Masters by market trade alone. If that's the case, it is indeed a bit risky. Zhou Sui squints his eyes. After all, the distance between the Immortal Mist Sect headquarters and the Blood Shadows Cave is just 3,000 kilometers. For mortals, perhaps 3,000 kilometers is indeed a very far distance. But for a cultivator, it is basically nothing. Essentially, it can be crossed easily in a day or two. So if a Golden Core War truly breaks out, it might affect the Immortal Mist Sect as well. Actually, there's no need to worry too much. In my opinion, the Immortal Mist Sect is still pretty safe. With the power of the third class, high-grade Mist Yin-Yang formation, even if a Golden Core Master comes looking for trouble, they may not dare to intrude into the Immortal Mist Sect's territory. In fact, if Sister Lang is proficient in 7th Order formation, you could completely control this formation. You could even confront power at the nascent soul level, let alone pitiful golden cores," said Xia Jinjian solemnly. She had also previously researched the Immortal Mist Sect's protection formation and knew the might of this 3rd Order formation. Basically, it could be considered a quasi-4th Order formation. It can only be said that it is worthy of being a nascent soul sect once, and its foundation is quite deep. Proficient in 7th Order formation? I also want to be proficient in it. Unfortunately, the knowledge of 7th Order formation is really too difficult. It gives me a headache. It is simply impossible to learn. Lang Yuexi is quite helpless. Although her cultivation talent is quite good, achieving Golden Core status in her 80s. But to learn 7th Order formation, it's not that simple. At most, she has the skill level of a lower 1st grade 7th Order formation master. She can just barely control this formation, exerting only part of its power. To fully activate this 3rd Order formation, at least a 3rd Order formation master's level is required. Sadly, to reach this level, there is not a single person in the entire Immortal Mist Sect who could achieve this. Even the Array Peak Master's current level is only 2nd class, high grade. You can imagine how difficult it is to become a 3rd Order formation master. 7th Order formation, you say? Hearing this, Zhou Sui strokes his chin. He has already trained swordsmanship to a very high level. Next, as long as he continues to cultivate normally, he will not make much progress in a short time. If he wants to increase the combat power of the Immortal Mist Sect, perhaps he really needs to start from 7th Order formation. With the power of the Bookworm, perhaps he could also become a 3rd Order formation master. Right, it's not just about studying formation. He also needs first-hand information about the Blood Shadows Cave. Knowing oneself and the enemy is the only way to achieve total victory. Anyway, he has many clones now, sending a few there doesn't matter. After all, it doesn't matter how many clones die. Furthermore, a distance of 3,000 kilometers is not very far either. Once Clone Worm reaches the 2nd stage, the distance from his main body can be farther. 3,000 kilometers is barely within control range, and he will not lose contact with the clone. My lord, what are you thinking about? Lang Yuexi curiously looks at Zhou Sui. Well, I was thinking of how to teach you about formations. After much thought, it seems that I will have to personally teach you the mysteries of 7th Order formation. Zhou Sui holds Lang Yuexi's slim waist. My lord, isn't the teaching of formations supposed to wait until night time? Now it's broad daylight. Lang Yuexi's face turns red as she teases, her eyes coy. She is a dignified Golden Core Master and the sect master of the Immortal Mist Sect. Learning knowledge during the day is absurd. If the word gets out, she would be truly embarrassed. Relax. Your study time will be long, it will last until the night. Plus, when it comes to studying, there is no distinction between day and night. Zhou Sui bluntly says, after all, he is a good teacher. Humph. Hearing this, Ji Binjiu, Mu Ziai, and Xia Jinjian blush. But as students, they also need to learn about this cultivation knowledge together. In a short time, they immerse themselves in learning. Whoosh! At this point, 3 clones of Zhou Sui set off from the Immortal Mist Sect. They perform the Phantasma transformation skill, changing into 3 different appearances, tall, short, fat, thin, and more or less everything in between. At the same time, they also show the cultivation of the Qi cultivation nineth layer. After all, a high cultivation level might attract attention, while a weak one may lead to ambushes. Qi cultivation nineth layer is a decent middle ground. On his way, he is surprised to find that the number of cultivators in the Immortal Mist Sect domain are increasing. If it was 8 years ago, before the nascent soul cave appeared, the number of cultivators was not few, but not at the level as it's now. Most cultivators hid in the mountains, or cultivators in the market. But now, he has found a large number of cultivators moving in groups, much more than before. Of course, more importantly, he felt a dreadful aura from these cultivators. Each one seems not easy to provoke. Chapter 193, Encounter with Foundation Establishment Cultivator, Increasingly Chaotic Territory. Indeed, the situation within the Immortal Mist Sect territory has become even more chaotic. Zhou Sui squinted his eyes. He has been practicing within the Immortal Mist Sect all this while, so he was not aware of the outside world's situation. Even if intelligence pointed to increased chaos and frequent skirmishes outside, it was not realistic without seeing it himself. Now, this scene was completely displayed before him. Undoubtedly, it has become even harder for the loose cultivators in the Immortal Mist Sect territory. They may easily fall victim to other cultivators. After all, a large number of foreign cultivators have begun flooding in. With no other means of survival, they can only resort to murder and theft. Even if the majority of these cultivators do not resort to banditry, a few who do can significantly degrade the security within the Immortal Mist Sect. At that moment, a notion arose in Zhou Sui's heart. Spreading his hard eyes, he immediately sensed a group of 25 cultivators at Qi cultivation stage 9th layer hidden on a nearby mountain top. Even more, there were 2 cultivators at the early stages of foundation establishment lurking deep within. They had set up an invisible formation around them, concealing their traces and auras. If it weren't for his hard eyes that could see through many illusions and restrictions, he might not have even noticed them. This place is a must-pass for those wanting to get to the Blood Shadow Ancestors' Cave, and so many robbers have ambushed it. It seems these robbers are becoming more and more reckless, don't know how many loose cultivators they've killed. Well, since they seek death, let's send them on their way. A trace of cold light appeared in Zhou Sui's eyes. He originally thought that by disguising himself as a 9th layer Qi cultivation cultivator, he wouldn't attract the bandits' attention. But he underestimated the ruthlessness of these bandits. Unless he traveled with a large group from his sect, if he strayed alone, he would definitely become a target. He was considering keeping a low profile, but that seemed impossible in this world. Without showing his strength, others would see him as an easy target. But perhaps this could be a good thing. His strength has greatly increased recently, he could test the sharpness of his long sword on these bandits. At this moment, the bandits also noticed the 3 clones of Zhou Sui. Haha, Mr. Chen, there are 3 9th layer Qi cultivation cultivators ahead, look like 3 fat sheep. One of the bandits called out excitedly. In these days of ambushing at this location, they had no idea how many cultivators they had killed. They had earned quite a substantial wealth, everyone was making a fortune. They didn't even fear meeting Foundation Establishment cultivators. This was because their boss was the notorious Black Wind Chuangsha, double monsters. Their names were Chen Qingfeng and Lu Xianfeng. They were originally loose cultivators, but due to a series of coincidences, they advanced to Foundation Establishment cultivators. However, since they had committed too many crimes, even killing quite a few sect cultivators, Black Wind Chuangsha became wanted criminals of the sects and were being pursued by other Golden Core sects. In the process of being chased, they also fled to the Immortal Mist Sect territory. As a large number of foreign cultivators flocked into the Immortal Mist Sect territory, this resulted in a period of immense chaos here. Robberies and killings were rampant. This has truly become a fertile ground for darkness and sin. In addition, as Chuangsha were originally loose cultivators, they hadn't received much inheritance. They also lacked talent. They had hardly any knowledge about the 100 arts of cultivation. They also did not have many ways to make money, so they turned to banditry and returned to their old job. If they succeeded, it was as if they hit the jackpot overnight. There really was no better way to make money. With the strength of early foundation establishment, the Black Wind Chuangsha was living comfortably, they were unknowingly killing numerous cultivators and obtaining great resources. They even managed to kill some early foundation establishment cultivators when they were caught off guard. Wait, there's something wrong, the kid stopped, seems like he's noticed us. The expression on Chen Qingfeng immediately changed. Having been pursued by the Golden Core sect cultivators for many years, he had developed a strong eye for people. He quickly identified who could be robbed and who couldn't. That's why he had survived so long, thanks to his keen eyes. However, now he noticed 3 unknown cultivators who had suddenly appeared. They were calm even though they had discovered their ambush. Instead, they were ready to attack. Without a doubt, unless they had some powerful means, they definitely wouldn't act like this. Damn it, that guy moved, they are foundation establishment cultivators. Those three have definitely practiced an extremely profound ascetic breath skill to conceal their cultivation stage. Hold on, friend, misunderstanding, it's a misunderstanding. Please don't take any action. Lu Xianfeng felt a deadly crisis, his hair stood on end. He instantly realized that it might not be easy to provoke these three unknown cultivators, who are even more intimidating than the elders of Golden Core sect. These people must be cultivators who had survived the deadly mountains of corpses and seas of blood. At that moment, one of Zhou Sui's clones acted. He drew out a flying sword from his possession and, turning the vast mana within his body, hacked at the bandits. True Dragon Sword Technique. Third move, Dragon's Tail Sweep. Suddenly, a terrifying streak of sword light came crashing down, silent and traceless, unbelievably fast. Several times faster than sound. Resembling a dragon's tail whip, the enemy had no clue when he had launched his attack. A series of crackling sounds followed. In an instant, the formation that was hidden atop the mountain was torn apart by the sword light, scattering like tofu. It could not even resist for a second. No, impossible, how can it be so fast? What kind of sword move is this? Are you kidding, what kind of opponent have we encountered? Lu Xianfeng and Chen Qingfeng, both early-stage foundation establishment cultivators, were rich in battling experience. They were known as the Black Wind Chuangsha, and numerous cultivators had died at their hands. Unfortunately, they met Zhou Sui. Even if what they met was only a clone with half the strength of the original. But his swordsmanship was too terrifying, reaching the second stage and superior grade, the formless sword light stage. This realm of sword cultivator was enough to dominate across the foundation establishment realm. Unrivaled within the same realm. Without any hesitation, Zhou Sui made his first move, full force. He gave them absolutely no opportunity. Thud. With only a single strike, a formless sword light lightly swept past. Including the two early-stage foundation establishment cultivators Black Wind Chuangsha, and 25 cultivators of the Qi cultivation stage, their heads were immediately sent flying. The cut was so smooth that blood spurted out like a fountain. The ground was completely turned red from the vast amount of blood. What was even more shocking was that this formless sword light instantly cleaved a large portion of the small mountain, cutting the small hill flat. A massive amount of soil rolled off. Chapter 194, Top-Grade Spiritual Artifact Flying Sword, 30,000 Middle-Grade Spirit Stones. Is this a sword cultivator? Just one stroke of the sword took out two foundation establishment cultivators in an instant. They didn't even have time to react. Indeed, the most formidable strength of a sword cultivator, renowned for their martial prowess, is truly impressive. Zhou Sui could only marvel at this power. Seeing countless robbers beheaded by a single stroke of his sword from afar and a mountain leveled by the same stroke, demonstrated the power of that single sword, bordering on the elegance of a sword immortal. Honestly speaking, it was only in recent years that he had used the power of a flying sword to slay enemies for the first time. Unexpectedly, these bandits were annihilated instantaneously with just one stroke of the sword. There was no need for him to launch a second stroke. However, this was to be expected since he had already reached the second stage of swordsmanship. This was the realm of invisible sword light. Ordinary sword cultivators couldn't comprehend this profound realm of swordsmanship, and some with less favorable talents may only grasp the invisible sword light after becoming a golden core master. From this, you can imagine that Zhou Sui wielding that sword was like using a cleaver to kill a chicken. The Black Wind duo, racking their brains, never imagined they would be targeted by an unparalleled sword cultivator. You can only say that the more you walk at night, the more likely you are to come across a ghost. With such combat power, he can sweep away all early-stage foundation establishment cultivators. Even if he encounters a mid-stage foundation establishment cultivator, he can still fight. Even a late-stage foundation establishment cultivator, is not out of the question for him to take on. Zhou Sui was very satisfied. Even though he and Lang Yuexi had fought on the Immortal Mist Peak several times, the gap between them was too big. Even if he was a genius, it was not possible for him to defeat a Golden Core Master at the early stage of foundation establishment. This was simply a fool's talk. If the gap was too big, it gave little reference value. So after this battle, he roughly knew his strength level. Obviously, the 8 years of hard practice were not in vain. Compared with before, his fighting power had greatly increased. Swoosh! Thinking about this, Zhou Sui waved his hand and immediately picked up all the storage bags on the ground. These were all his spoils of war and he couldn't let them go to waste. Wow, so many treasures! Zhou Sui arched his eyebrows. A quick sweep of his divine sense revealed that these storage bags contained a wealth of treasures. Some of these were their personal possessions. But most of it was looted from other cultivators. So the treasures inside could be said to be varied. No way, there are actually 15 bottles of etherwood pills and 5 bottles of water source pills. This is a windfall. Zhou Sui's eyes instantly lit up. He found, to his surprise, the favorite pills of Foundation Establishment cultivators, etherwood pills and water source pills, among the items in the Black Wind Duo's storage bags. He had obtained these two types of pills before. It must be said that they truly are the most favorite pills of Foundation Establishment cultivators. Not only are they potent and quickly increase one's cultivation, but most importantly, they have very little pill toxicity and do not cause too much damage to the body's meridians. So these two pills are very popular among Foundation Establishment cultivators. Each bottle of etherwood pills and water source pills is also very valuable. Although it can't be said to cost a fortune, it's definitely not cheap. There's actually a middle-grade spiritual artifact level flying sword. Named the Black Wind Sword. Zhou Sui also spotted a spiritual artifact. It was a black flying sword, its sharp edge clearly visible. It seemed to emanate sword light and carry a terrifying killing intent. Honestly speaking, a flying sword of the middle grade spiritual artifact level is considered very good. Even some poorer golden core masters still use it. After all, not every golden core master possesses a magic artifact. Sometimes they can only use middle grade spiritual artifacts. One could say that the middle grade spiritual artifact is the best treasure that a Foundation Establishment cultivator could hope to use. Boom! At that moment, he held the flying sword in his hand, and in an instant, he thoroughly refined the flying sword as his own. Immediately, he felt as if he had merged with this flying sword, reaching the state of unity between man and sword. Thump! Wielding the flying sword, he made a light stroke and a terrifying sword light blasted out, instantly tearing through the earth and leaving a shocking fissure. A fearful sword chi engulfed the surroundings, making anyone shiver. Is this the power of the spiritual artifact? Zhou Sui was very satisfied. Obviously, this flying sword could boost his sword light by more than 30%, which was like giving wings to a tiger. The reason why a spiritual artifact is so much stronger than a magic artifact is precisely because a spiritual artifact can be fused with the divine sense of a Foundation Establishment cultivator. This allows the cultivator to reach the state of unity between man and artifact, making the artifact as natural to use as one's own hand or foot. No matter how refined a magic artifact is, it can never become one with the user. This is the inherent limitation of a magic artifact. Therefore, the power of a spiritual artifact is so much greater than a magic artifact. Of course, the price is higher, which is something ordinary Foundation Establishment cultivators can't afford. However, this flying sword probably wasn't something the Black Wind Duo could own, but likely looted from some other sect cultivator. But it had nothing to do with him anymore. Anyway, since it had fallen into his hands, it was his. Good, good, worthy of being robbers, they're really rich. A moment later, Zhou Sui stroked his chin. He had finally meticulously counted the items and concluded that the combined worth of everything was at least 30,000 middle-grade spirit stones. Of course, it still couldn't compare to the treasures he got from the Ghost Demon Sect Elder. After all, as a sect elder, they would naturally be wealthier than these bandits. But even so, 30,000 middle-grade spirit stones was already an astounding figure, enough to make countless Foundation Establishment cultivators salivate. They could buy a lot of pills with it. Good people, all good people, knowing I'm short of money, rushing to give me money. Zhou Sui was very satisfied. Although he had the Immortal Mist sect under him, and could earn a lot of money. The problem was he had 4 wives and concubines, 3 of whom were early-stage Foundation Establishment cultivators. They all needed a lot of money for their cultivation. Add to this the fact that he himself was a big spender, it could be said that no matter how many spirit stones he had, it wasn't enough to spend. It was a great start to unexpectedly come across such a windfall when he just came to investigate the news. Whoosh! Thinking about this, Zhou Sui waved his hand, cast the fireball technique, and in an instant, all the corpses were burned to ashes. He erased any trace of his presence, stopping other cultivators from tracking him down through the corpses. After all, there are countless tricks in the world of cultivation, who knew what special tracking methods there could be. Let's go, we're heading to the Blood Shadow Ancestors Cave. After doing all these things, one of his clones returned to the Immortal Mist sect with the treasures, and the other two continued to fly towards the Blood Shadow Cave. This time, he didn't encounter any more robbers. So his plan of making a windfall on the side fell through. However, he didn't linger on this too much. After all, his main goal of this trip was to investigate the news. Chapter 195, Heart Eye's Insight, Probing the Golden Core Master. With only 2 or 3 days of travel, Zhou Sui's clone arrived at the location of Blood Shadow Ancestors' cave dwelling. Immediately, he saw the emergence of huge camps scattered in the distance. Each camp represented a powerful golden core force. Within each camp, there was a release of dominant auras, which were clearly golden core masters and foundation establishment cultivators. Of course, there were also cultivators of the Qi cultivation stage. After all, foundation establishment cultivators still needed some servants. Who else would take care of their daily needs? They surely couldn't do everything by themselves. These golden core forces had completely surrounded the cave dwelling of the Blood Shadow Ancestor without any gaps. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. In an instant, Zhou Sui's 2 clones instantly separated in 2 different directions, left and right. They activated the Phantasma transformation skill, concealing their auras to reach the minor accomplishment stage of the Phantasma transformation skill. Even a golden core master couldn't see through them. So the 2 clones quickly dispersed into various corners, then turned into a goo insect and drilled into one of the big trees, temporarily hiding themselves. Heart Eye's Insight. At this moment, both clones nearly simultaneously used the power of the Heart Eyes. Actually, this is the mystery of the clone goo. Whatever power the original body learns, the clone can copy. Though the power is halved, it's completely enough. More importantly, the power of the heart is much more mysterious than divine sense. Even the Golden Core Master cannot perceive the insights of the Heart Eyes. Zhou Sui had used it before at the Immortal Mist Peak, and even Lang Yuexi could not detect any unusual signs. If even Lang Yuexi couldn't detect it, not to mention other Golden Core Masters. Whoosh! The next second, the power of the Heart Eyes instantly covered this area, silent and effortless, easily penetrating through the prohibition arrays of each camp, sensing the various noises inside. So many golden core forces have come here. A moment later, Zhou Sui was flabbergasted. There are so many golden core forces that have arrived at the Blood Shadow Ancestors' cave dwelling. Apart from the Danding faction, King Mu sect, there is also the Ghost Demon sect, Yellow Maple Valley, and even the Golden Core sect and Golden Core families from tens of thousands of miles away. Although we can't say all the Golden Core forces of Immortal Mist Island have put everything on the line, at least most of them have appeared. There were even some Golden Core loose cultivators. Even the enigmatic Suanbeo Tower had dispatched 3 Golden Core Masters to this place. It could be said that the Golden Core Masters, who are rare to see on a normal day, are now visible everywhere. This place is truly a vortex. The choice of the Immortal Mist sect to not participate is the right one. Zhou Sui also gasped. This place indeed is incredibly dangerous. You must know, now in the Immortal Mist sect, only Lang Yuexi remains as a Golden Core Master. If she falls here, then the Immortal Mist sect would be completely finished. Even if Lang Yuexi isn't the sect master of Immortal Mist sect, she is my Dao companion, and I can't let her take risks. At this moment, he began hearing numerous conversations of Golden Core Masters. Hehe, the cave mansion of the Blood Shadow Ancestor is indeed formidable. After 8 years of attacking, we finally see hope of breaking the 7th Order formation. If someone personally controls this 4th stage Blood Sea flowing light formation, we Golden Core Masters approaching it is tantamount to courting death. Regardless, this is a 4th stage formation, even amongst the Kanglan Sea region it is considered rare. Fortunate for us that Blood Shadow Ancestor was a nascent soul ancestor 3000 years ago. If the time was slightly closer, I would not dare to invade this nascent soul cave mansion. Indeed, no matter how powerful the Blood Shadow Ancestor was, 3000 years is enough to erase everything. The other party could not possibly survive until now. If we could obtain the legacy of the Blood Shadow Ancestor, I'm afraid we would strike it rich. Then we wouldn't need to remain on this barren island like Immortal Mist Island and could completely move on to other major islands to find opportunities to form nascent souls. It is said that the Blood Shadow Ancestor dominated the era 3000 years ago, causing heavy losses to Immortal Mist sect, the tyrant of the Immortal Mist Island at the time. Even the former nascent soul ancestor of the immortal mist sect almost perished, showing his ferocity. One can imagine that such nascent soul ancestor must have left many treasures behind. Perhaps there are spiritual objects for nascent soul formation. Even if there are none for nascent soul formation, obtaining spiritual objects for core formation would also be great. The Golden Core Masters engaged in heated discussions. They gazed greedily at the nascent soul cave mansion before them, wishing they could immediately rush in and ransack all the treasures inside. Unfortunately, they were hindered by the fourth stage grand formation and had no alternative. They could only suppress their impatience, gradually erode the fourth stage grand formation. If they rushed through recklessly, they would definitely die. However, there's one thing that's very strange. This time the Immortal Mist Sect doesn't seem to have sent any Golden Core Masters over, not even a few Foundation Establishment cultivators rushed over. It seems like they've completely abandoned this nascent soul cave mansion. Could there be some sort of conspiracy? A Golden Core Master voiced his doubts. He always found it strange that the Immortal Mist Sect did not participate, even suspecting that it might be a conspiracy. Indeed, it's extremely strange. Normally speaking, they have a nascent soul cave mansion, yet it is situated within their borders. They have chosen to open it to other forces, but did not send anyone. They wouldn't happen to know something, would it? Or did the cave mansion of the Blood Shadow Ancestor hold some hidden dangers? Hehe, you guys are flattering the Immortal Mist Sect too much. Do you still think the Immortal Mist Sect was the nascent soul sect from 3,000 years ago? It has long declined and is completely dilapidated. Such a large sect currently only has 2 Golden Core Masters. One of them is seriously injured and is in seclusion to heal. The only one left is a newly promoted Golden Core female cultivator. In terms of strength, where can she compare to us, the old Golden Core cultivators? Naturally, they did not dare to take risks and participate in this excavation of the nascent soul cave mansion. If that Golden Core female cultivator falls, then the Immortal Mist Sect will truly be finished. I think there's another important reason. The Blood Shadow Ancestor is the enemy of the Immortal Mist Sect, and the Blood Shadow Ancestor probably harbors bone-deep hatred towards the disciples of the Immortal Mist Sect. The Sect Master Immortal Mist Sect must know this as well. If they rashly enter the cave of the Blood Shadow Ancestor, they may perhaps suffer from the Blood Shadow Ancestor's hidden tactics. There might even appear special prohibitions specifically against the Immortal Mist Sect. It really is a pity. If the Sect Master of Immortal Mist Sect really dared to come, perhaps there would be a chance for a sneak attack, killing this Golden Core female cultivator of the Immortal Mist Sect. At that time, the Immortal Mist Sect would be leaderless, and we might be able to take over the sect without shedding a drop of blood. It's a pity that the Sect Master of the Immortal Mist Sect is too cautious, allowing her to avoid a calamity. Indeed, even a rotten ship has 3 nails. It has succeeded the path of the nascent soul sect of the past. Perhaps there is a nascent soul lineage inside. But it seems there's no opportunity now. Honestly, we can't be so sure that the Immortal Mist Sect isn't planning something behind the scenes. We should be cautious. Let's not capsize in the gutter in this nascent soul cave mansion. Hehe, even if this is a trap, do any of you really have the heart to leave now? I don't believe that the Blood Shadow Ancestor who died 3,000 years ago could cause any trouble. Many Golden Core Masters engaged in heated discussions. They, of course, knew how dangerous it is to excavate a nascent soul cave mansion. But the Blood Shadow Ancestor once swept across the Kanglan Sea region, leaving behind a great reputation, countless treasures, and secret techniques on his body. Everyone coveted such a nascent soul legacy. Even if they knew there might be traps inside, they were reluctant to give it up. Regardless, they had to pry open the prohibition array inside and see the situation inside. Chapter 196, Blood Demon Tree, the Dungeon Remnants of the Sealed Demon. At this very moment, Zhou Sui's clone was able to perceive the conversation of these Golden Core Masters, which gave him a certain degree of understanding of the Blood Shadow Ancestor's cave dwelling. These Golden Core Masters are indeed not good people. They are plotting against the Immortal Mist Sect without any cause or grievance. It turns out that in this world of cultivation, being weak is a sin. Zhou Sui took a deep breath. These Golden Core Masters chatted without a care, believing that their conversations were unknown to others. Little did they know that his power of heart was monitoring their every move. However, he also learned that these Golden Core Masters harbor ill intentions. This nascent soul cave seems to be rather unusual. A thought crossed Zhou Sui's mind. His power of heart spread outwards and reached the massive nascent soul cave in an instant. The cave was surrounded by a massive prohibition array, forming a blood-red barrier. It was none other than the famed fourth stage formation, the Blood Sea Luminous Array. It was this fourth stage formation that easily blocked these Golden Core Masters. If it were not for the lack of Spirit Stone energy within the formation, these Golden Core Masters would have no chance of breaking the formation. However, he noticed that the formation seemed unable to block his power of heart. Boom! With a slight shift in his thoughts, the power of heart easily penetrated the prohibition array. Even the Blood Sea Luminous Array could not stop it, allowing him to sense the situation inside the cave. It was well known that a fourth stage formation could easily block divine consciousness, but it couldn't stop the exploration of the power of heart. Without a doubt, this was another function of the power of heart. What? In an instant, Zhou Sui's hair stood on end. He sensed a giant tree appeared deep within the cave. It was red all over, like a flame burning, covered in countless blood-colored talismans. It looked extremely evil. The ground around it was littered with skulls, like a mountain of corpses in a sea of blood. The tree seemed to have numerous vengeful spirits attached to it. It seemed as if with every breath the tree took, it devoured countless lives. What's more shocking was that there were huge golden chains on the tree. They appeared to hold a mysterious sealing power, imprisoning the tree and preventing the monstrous tree from struggling. Blood Demon Tree, rank, 4th stage, abilities, unknown, lifespan, unknown. Immediately, some information surged to Zhou Sui's heart eye recognition. This was the power of heart eye recognition. Whether it was a living being or an object, he could see some information about their characteristics, similar to divination skill. Boom! At this moment, the Blood Demon Tree, which seemed to be asleep, sensed something and woke up instantly. A terrifying face appeared on its trunk. An invisible, terrifying dark force surged forth, forming a vast blood sea. This is not good. Zhou Sui sensed a deadly crisis. His hair stood on end as he instantly retracted his power of heart. He sweat profusely, feeling that he would have been noticed by this terrifying entity if he had been a bit slower. That dark and deep power seemed to devour everything, corrupting everything. What is this thing? Could it be the legendary demon? Zhou Sui's pupils contracted. After joining the Immortal Mist sect, he received all the inheritance of the sect, which naturally included numerous legends about the cultivation world and a lot of information. Demons represent a kind of terrifying creature in the cultivation world. They are far more terrifying than beasts. Not only do they possess extraordinary abilities, but they also have indestructible bodies. No one knows where they came from. All they know is that demons once wreaked havoc in the ancient cultivation world, leading to many ancient sects' downfall and causing a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood, with countless cultivators dying and many inheritances disappearing. Despite this, the cultivators won the battle. They sealed a large number of demons and locked them in various places. This allowed the cultivation world to return to peace. However, demons still appear from time to time in the cultivation world. Each appearance results in endless killings. It can be imagined that demons are enemies of cultivators and all living beings. Could it be that this is not a nascent soul cave but a place where a demon is sealed? Zhou Sui narrowed his eyes. He realized the seriousness of the situation. Who spread the news, who brought so many Golden Core Masters here, and why they want to lift the seal here? What kind of conspiracy does the other party have? For a moment, his expression was unpredictable. He felt that the cultivation world was too deep. It was like a whirlpool with countless ambitious people plotting something. Should I tell the other Golden Core Masters about this? Zhou Sui clenched his fist, but then he thought better of it. He was just a foundation establishment cultivator. His words didn't carry much weight. It was impossible for these Golden Core Masters to stop attacking this nascent soul cave just based on his words. Doing so would only expose his whereabouts and secrets. This would simply be more harm than good. Moreover, even if he really saved these Golden Core Masters, they might not be grateful to him. The story of the farmer and the snake is popular everywhere. Forget it, since I can't tell the other Golden Core Masters, I still have to warn the sect master of King Mu sect and the sect leader of Danding faction. Zhou Sui took a deep breath and immediately made a decision. After all, Lin Yazhu, the sect master of King Mu sect, and Shen Baiqian, the sect leader of Danding faction, were both under the influence of his obsession Gu. They could be considered his future companions in Dao. He didn't want to see his future Dao companions vanish in smoke here. That would be too regrettable. With this thought in mind, Zhou Sui sent a divine consciousness transmission to Lin Yazue and Shen Baiqian. Lin, my friend, this cave dwelling is fraught with danger, possibly containing a sealed demon. Please be extremely cautious. Shen, my friend, if the seal on this cave is broken, do not rush in. You must step back to avoid any unknown danger. In an instant, both Lin Yazue and Shen Baiqian heard Zhou Sui's divine consciousness transmission. Because it was divine consciousness transmission, it was not only very secretive and undetectable to others, but also very clear. What? In a blink of an eye, Lin Yazue and Shen Baiqian, who were originally cultivating in their own camps, almost simultaneously woke up, as transmitting divine consciousness to Golden Core Masters is not a simple matter. Who's there? A glint flashed in Lin Yazue's beautiful eyes. Her powerful Golden Core divine consciousness erupted instantly, sweeping an area of several miles in an attempt to find the person who transmitted the divine consciousness. Unfortunately, no matter how she searched, she couldn't find any trace of the other party. It was as if the voice had appeared out of nowhere. Chapter 197, Changes in the Nascent Soul's Cave Mansion, Message from a Golden Core Female Cultivator. Who exactly was communicating with me through their divine sense? Lin Yazue was somewhat uncertain. She would not usually trust such a person who hides themselves, but for some reason, she felt a sincere sense of trust after hearing this voice. It seemed like the person behind the divine consciousness transmission was trustworthy, someone who would never harm her. Although they had never met, she had a natural impression of trust. This feeling was very baffling. Could it be that there's something really wrong with old ancestor Blood Shadow's cave? A hint of brightness flashed in Lin Yazue's beautiful eyes. Frankly, she had her suspicions about this nascent soul's cave originally because her top-grade magical item, Gold Thunder Bamboo, sometimes warned her of some impending danger, suggesting there might be something extremely evil hidden inside. She initially thought it was something old ancestor Blood Shadow left behind, which was why the Gold Thunder Bamboo was on guard. After all, Blood Shadow being a demon cultivator and a notorious killer 3,000 years ago, it was only natural that he hid sinister things. Never mind, it's better to believe it than risk disbelief. I should be more careful. Lin Yazue quickly made a decision. As the sect master of the King Mu sect, she bore the future of the entire sect and naturally had to be cautious. Carelessness could lead to the extinction of the whole sect, so she had to tread carefully. Who's there? Almost at the same time, Shen Baiqian heard Zhou Sui's mental transmission too. Like Lin Yazue, she used her golden core divine sense and tried to identify the person communicating with her telepathically. But the result was the same, she found no suspicious person. Strange, why does this voice sound so familiar, as if we have met before? Shen Baiqian blinked, her instincts telling her that the man communicating telepathically must be someone she knew, otherwise, she wouldn't experience such a sense of trust. Almost instantly, the voice of a man emerged in the depths of her sea of consciousness. The man appeared imposing and handsome, seeming to descend from the heavens and was irresistibly charming. It can't be him. He is merely a cultivator in the initial stage of foundation establishment. Shen Baiqian shook her head, immediately dismissing her absurd thoughts. It seems she had been alone for much too long and was crazily longing for a man. But this person doesn't seem to bear any ill intentions. He seems to merely be warning me. It seems this nascent soul's cave is indeed unusual, I need to be more careful. Shen Baiqian touched her smooth chin. Although she was impulsive in her actions without thinking through the consequences, she wasn't a fool. She wouldn't knowingly rush into danger and seek a path to her own death. So, she ordered some disciples from the Danding faction to retreat first. A few days later, under the joint assault of numerous Golden Core cultivators and foundation building cultivators, old ancestor Blood Shadow's cave was on the verge of collapsing. The Fourth Order array that had been covering the whole cave also collapsed with a bang. Seeing this, all the cultivators were overjoyed. After attacking for 8 years, they had finally destroyed this Fourth Order formation. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Without wasting any words, these Golden Core Masters and the foundation building cultivators from the various major forces in the Immortal Mist Island immediately flew into the cave. They were all afraid of being outpaced by others, losing the abundant treasures in the cave. Whoosh. At this moment, a bloody mist was released deep inside the cave. In a blink of an eye, it enveloped an area within a 3-mile radius. This blood-red haze contained a terrifying corrosiveness and was imbued with a chilling property. When stones on the ground came into contact with it, they instantly corroded as if doused in sulfuric acid. What was more was that the fog had an incredibly potent poison. Ordinary cultivators who got a whiff of it would become paralyzed by the toxin, and they would collapse to the ground, unable to move, silently awaiting death. Damn it, we've been had, this is a trap. This isn't the hermitage of the Blood Shadow Ancestor at all, it's a relic where some demon had been imprisoned. Everyone hightails out of here. A Golden Core Master barked loudly, quaking with fear and rage. Having delved deeper into the hermitage, he realized he had been duped. A blood-red towering tree stood inside, its menacing and preternatural aura enveloping it from top to bottom, sending chills down the spine. This is the Kyunkan Demon Suppression Array, a 7th-order formation specifically employed to confine and seal demons. We've walked right into a trap. How can this be happening? Why is a peerless demon sealed here? Several Golden Core Masters began to sweat profusely, sensing the enormity of the crisis at hand. They were desperate to escape this place and get as far away from this peerless demon as possible. Hee. I've finally waited for you to arrive. Thanks for helping me break the array. As a token of my gratitude, I'll let you all become part of my body. Right at that moment, the terrifying blood demon tree suddenly spoke. Suddenly, branches burst forth from it, like god-slaying spears, aiming to pierce. Boom, boom, boom. One by one, the Golden Core Masters and Foundation Building Cultivators were unable to resist. They were all skewered by these tree branches, their bodies showcasing gory gaping holes, blood dripping profusely. In just a blink of the eye, the blood inside these cultivators had been sucked dry, their mortal shells reduced to a pile of mummies. Rumble. However, the remaining cultivators refused to just sit around and await their fate. Each of them unleashed their most potent strategies and launched an assault on the gruesome blood demon tree, resulting in the release of terrifying destructive power. Of course, all of this escaped the notice of the outside world, including Zhou Sui. He was hiding deep within the region about 10 miles from the nascent soul hermitage, employing the power of his heart eyes to observe every single movement around him. In order to evade being detected by the demon concealed inside, he dared not use his heart's eye power to peek. Boom! Sure enough, soon after, multiple figures rather unceremoniously came running out of the hermitage. Among them were Lin Yazue and Shen Baiqian. Having received warning from Zhou Sui, they were more cautious and weren't in a hurry to proceed into the hermitage. This turned out to be a wise choice, as when the blood demon tree erupted, they immediately escaped using their maximum potential. However, the other Golden Core Masters weren't as lucky. Especially the more greedy ones among them. In an instant, they were all killed and became fodder for the blood demon tree. Whiz, whiz, whiz. They all exchanged a glance, and without wasting a moment, they swiftly flew towards the distant horizon. After all, this wasn't a safe place. No one could predict how much power the demon contained inside could unleash. The sound of rushing water. In a matter of few breaths, a 10-mile radius was covered by the blood-red fog, and a towering tree emerged, emanating a malevolent air. It seemed as though it was going to make a bid for escape. However, right at that moment, chains of gold burst forth from the depths of the earth, and in an instant, the tree was yanked back down, plunging deep into the ground. Boom, boom, boom. In the sky above, countless black clouds converged, and a terrifying bolt of purple lightning struck the blood-red tree unmercifully. Instantly, the blood-red tree let out a piercing scream. It seemed unwilling to accept its fate, but still retreated back into the depths of the hermitage. Chapter 198-198 The truth about the disaster 3,000 years ago. Several days later. The news about the incident at Blood Shadow Ancestor's cave dwelling, like a storm, reached the Immortal Mist sect and was known to many cultivators and elders in the sect. What are you saying? That Blood Shadow Ancestor's cave dwelling is fake? That place is actually a relic where demons were sealed. A Foundation establishment elder was stunned, hardly daring to believe what he'd heard. Yes. Another Foundation establishment elder nodded. When the prohibition array of the Blood Shadow Ancestor's cave dwelling was broken, a large number of the Golden Core Masters entered. Who would have thought that inside it actually had a sealed demon? This demon became violent and plainly had the strength of the nascent soul level. The result is obvious. Most of the Golden Core Masters and Foundation establishment cultivators died at the hands of this demon. Only a few Golden Core Masters and Foundation establishment cultivators managed to escape alive. Now that place has become forbidden and no more cultivators dare to approach it. He briefly relayed the news he had heard. It's actually a relic where demons were sealed. But there was plenty of evidence before that it was indeed Blood Shadow Ancestors' cave dwelling. What is really going on? Yao Wen, the master of Array Peak, couldn't believe that such a thing would happen. In fact, they weren't fools. If they didn't have enough evidence to prove that it was Blood Shadow Ancestors' cave dwelling, they wouldn't have risked so much. I heard a piece of insider information. It is said that the disaster 3,000 years ago was caused by Blood Shadow Ancestor. This Blood Shadow Ancestor is not simply an ordinary nascent soul cultivator, it's very likely that he is an incarnation of a demon. Or maybe he was controlled by a demon, hence he slaughtered everywhere on Immortal Mist Island, causing massive casualties. The ancestors of our Immortal Mist sect, along with many nascent soul cultivators, surrounded and attacked Blood Shadow Ancestor. In the end, at a great cost, Blood Shadow Ancestor, or perhaps, the demon was sealed. Ma Kyunjun, the master of Pill Medicine Peak, revealed the insider information he had heard with a mysterious tone. Yes, allegedly the only fourth stage spirit vein of Immortal Mist Island was contaminated by that demon. In order to prevent a magical disaster from occurring on Immortal Mist Island, the ancestors of the Immortal Mist sect chose to destroy that fourth stage spirit vein. This was a matter of no choice. Who would have thought, our Immortal Mist sect declined after that and has never recovered. Another Foundation establishment elder spoke solemnly. He had also heard some news about Immortal Mist Island from 3,000 years ago from outside. Although the Immortal Mist sect no longer records this information, it seems that some nascent soul level forces outside Immortal Mist Island still kept records of this incident. This information was also deliberately leaked by Suanbao Tower. Fortunately, the sect master insisted on not going to Blood Shadow Ancestors' cave dwelling. Otherwise, our Immortal Mist sect would have been almost destroyed even if we didn't die. A Foundation establishment elder was extremely grateful. He remembered that he wanted to write to the sect master to explore Blood Shadow Ancestors' cave dwelling and obtain the treasures inside. Fortunately, the sect master forcefully resisted public opinion, staved off the temptation of the nascent soul cave dwelling, and prevented the cultivators of Immortal Mist sect from going to that cave. Otherwise, who knows how many Foundation establishment elders would have died this time. Even a Golden Core master like the sect master might not have survived. By then, the Immortal Mist sect might have truly become history. To tell you the truth, did the sect master know in advance that there was something strange about Blood Shadow Ancestors' cave dwelling, so he has always been uninterested in Blood Shadow Ancestors' cave dwelling and even hindered other cultivators from going there? Someone asked very curiously. After all, without knowing the inside information, which Golden Core master could resist the temptation of a nascent soul cave dwelling? He believed that Lang Yuexi must have known the trickery in this nascent soul cave dwelling and therefore made this choice. Shut up! Is this matter something you can casually talk about? This time Blood Shadow Ancestors' cave dwelling killed so many Golden Core masters and damaged so many Golden Core forces. If they find an excuse to say that this matter is a trap laid by our Immortal Mist sect, I'm afraid they will all come knocking on our doors. All of you shut your mouths. This matter has nothing to do with our Immortal Mist sect. We are also victims, you know. Ma Kyunjun, the master of Pill Medicine Peak, said very seriously, staring at the numerous Immortal Mist sect cultivators. Yes, master. Hearing this, many Immortal Mist sect cultivators all nodded in agreement. They also understood the seriousness of this matter and naturally wouldn't talk casually. After all, too many Golden Core masters were lost this time and other forces suffered heavy losses. If any rumors come out at this time pointing at the Immortal Mist sect, the Immortal Mist sect would probably become everyone's target. By then, the Immortal Mist sect might not be able to withstand the pressure from so many Golden Core forces. But, Master, what about the relic where the demon is sealed? I see that the demon seems about to break free. Once it breaks free from the seal, our Immortal Mist sect might not be able to resist. A Foundation establishment elder was deeply worried. Compared to the possible threats from Golden Core forces, he believed the threat from that demon was even greater. After all, that demon was close at hand and nobody knew when it would break free. If it indeed frees itself, they would probably be in big trouble. This is because the base of the Immortal Mist sect is right here and there's no way to move it. Don't worry. It probably won't pose a threat in the short term. For that demon to break free from the seal is not that simple. Moreover, it has been sealed for 3,000 years. Its strength must have weakened a lot. It won't threaten us in the short term. Ma Kyunjun, the master of Pill Medicine Peak, tried to comfort them. Hearing this, many Immortal Mist sect cultivators immediately felt much more at ease. At this moment, in the Immortal Mist Peak, Lang Yuexi, Ji Binjiu, Mu Ziyi, Xia Jinjian, and Zhou Sui naturally also knew about the incident in the Blood Shadow Ancestors' cave dwelling. With Zhou Sui, who had experienced it personally, they knew the details even better. Sire, you said that demon is extremely dangerous and has at least the strength of nascent soul level. Lang Yuexi asked with a very serious expression. A demon at the nascent soul level was really horrifying, enough to sweep over the entire Immortal Mist Island. Yes. Zhou Sui nodded, although my clone only sensed it from afar, I know that its strength is not something ordinary Golden Core Masters can match. It is definitely comparable to a nascent soul ancestor. But isn't it a bit exaggerated to move the entire sect? Lang Yuexi said with some hesitation. This was where she was a bit hesitant. When Zhou Sui found out that the nascent soul cave dwelling was the location where the demon blood demon tree was sealed, he immediately had a strong sense of danger. Because the Immortal Mist sect was way too close to that blood demon tree. One careless move and the entire sect would be wiped out. A wise man does not stand under a precarious wall. He naturally didn't want to stay in this extremely dangerous place. He wanted to run away immediately and distance himself from the blood demon tree. Chapter 199, Shen Baiqian is poisoned and they share a room. No, it's not an exaggeration at all. Zhou Sui spoke gravely, I have been up close with the blood demon tree, it is by far a terrifyingly sinister and formidable demon, and not something that an ordinary nascent soul cultivator can match. 3,000 years ago, a nascent soul cultivator from Immortal Mist Island was able to seal it, but now, there is not a single nascent soul ancestor to be found on the entire Immortal Mist Island. Even if we ask for help from outside, which nascent soul ancestor would be willing to risk their life to deal with it? Even if someone is, by the time they arrive, the demon would have already destroyed Immortal Mist Island several times. As a member of the Go Dao, he naturally didn't want to put himself in danger. Even if there were a 1% chance of perishing, he didn't want it. Although there are third-stage spirit veins in Immortal Mist Peak which provide a superior cultivation environment, compared to his own life, what does it really amount to? If one has enough power, they can find any kind of spirit vein. Furthermore, there are countless islands like the Immortal Mist Island in the vast and boundless Kanglan Sea. There's no need for him to stay on Immortal Mist Island and wait for death. Of course, he also didn't feel a deep attachment to his homeland. After all, he was a loose cultivator, making himself at home anywhere he goes, it didn't matter where he cultivated. My lord, I understand. I will discuss this matter with the other elders. Hearing this, Lang Yuexi took a deep breath, finally making up her mind. She knew her husband was indeed extremely cautious and careful, even to an unimaginable extent. But in the end, her husband always proved to be right. Even if she couldn't bear to leave Immortal Mist Peak, for safety, she had no choice but to leave the place where she had been a part of the Immortal Mist sect for 1,000 years. After all, where there's life, there's hope. Don't worry, the seal won't be easy to break. We still have a few years to prepare. Zhou Sui reassured her. Moving away from Immortal Mist Peak, let alone Immortal Mist Island, was not something that could be accomplished overnight. The relocation of a large sect like ours would require handling a variety of matters. Very well, my lord. Lang Yuexi clenched her fist. At night, in the deep hours, under the sparse and dim stars, Zhou Sui stayed in his quiet room focusing on his cultivation, his 4 wives were doing the same. After all, once they advanced to the foundation establishment realm, they all needed to improve their cultivation. So they reduced the number of cultivation sessions they undertook together, they couldn't blow their horns every night. The crucial thing was not the frequency, but the quality. What's going on? Why has Shen Baiqian come near the Immortal Mist sect? At this point, Zhou Sui felt a sudden shock in his heart. This was a message sent to him by the Obsession Gu. After all, the Obsession Gu had a mysterious perception of the offspring Gu on its host. No matter where it was or how far apart, it could perceive clearly. No, it's wrong. Her aura is very weak, like she has been poisoned. Zhou Sui abruptly stood up. From the message sent by the offspring Gu, Shen Baiqian's condition didn't seem good at the moment. She had escaped from the nascent soul cave dwelling but was still plagued by the deadly poison from the bloody mist there. This intense toxin had caused chaos in Shen Baiqian's internal energy, exacerbating her injuries. Driven by the instinct to survive, under the guidance of the offspring Gu, Shen Baiqian had made her way alone to the vicinity of the Immortal Mist sect. Obviously, this was the right decision, only Zhou Sui could save her. If she returned to the Danding faction instead, her death would be certain. Swish! With that in mind, Zhou Sui didn't hesitate. He immediately used the teleportation insect, and instantly arrived at the location where Shen Baiqian was hiding. At the moment, Shen Baiqian was hiding in a cave in a mountain range 30 miles away from the Immortal Mist sect. To the teleportation insect, this distance was nothing at all. After all, it had accumulated 8 years of spatial energy, allowing it to teleport tens of thousands of miles. Merely 30 miles was nothing more than child's play. No matter how you looked at it, Shen Baiqian was his intended Dao companion. He definitely couldn't just stand by and watch as Shen Baiqian died here. If that were to happen, his loss would be too great. Is this the place? Zhou Sui walked into the cave and saw an extremely voluptuous woman cultivator lying inside. She was irresistibly beautiful, the kind that made people drool. This woman was Shen Baiqian, the sect leader of the Danding faction. Who's there? At that moment, Shen Baiqian suddenly woke up. Being a golden core master, even though she was severely poisoned, she still hadn't lost her vigilance. She immediately sensed a strange presence from outside. Sect leader Shen, how come you're here? Zhou Sui pretended that he just happened to pass by and looked at Shen Baiqian with a surprised expression. So it's fellow Daoist Zhou. Seeing Zhou Sui's figure, Shen Baiqian let out a sigh of relief. Her beautiful eyes became extremely soft. She didn't know why, but she had a good feeling and trust towards this man whom she had only met once. If it were other male cultivators, she would have slapped them to death long ago and wouldn't have let them into this place. It's embarrassing. I accidentally got severely poisoned. At the same time, it caused a backlash from the Taiyan spiritual fire. As a result, the mana in my body is in chaos, and I have no strength. If fellow Daoist Zhou wants to do anything to me, I'm afraid I won't be able to resist. Especially since we are in the middle of nowhere and there's no one around. Even if I were to call for help it would be to no avail. Shen Baiqian blinked her beautiful eyes, looked pitifully at Zhou Sui, as if she weren't a golden core master but a weak and helpless woman. You're poisoned? As it so happens, I can cure any poison in the world. This is just a small matter for me. I have obtained a peculiar worm that can devour all poisons in the world. Zhou Sui pretended not to hear anything Shen Baiqian said. After all, Shen Baiqian's situation was critical, it was not the time for sweet talk. With a wave of his hand, he immediately summoned the Golden Light Thousand Poison Goo. Suddenly, a golden light flew over and the Golden Light Thousand Poison Goo instantly arrived on Shen Baiqian's body. Out of trust for Zhou Sui, Shen Baiqian didn't resist at all. Instead, she curiously examined this golden goo insect. I see. So, in the past when Sister Lang Yuexi was severely poisoned by the blue demon, you used this peculiar worm to cure her poison, wasn't it? Shen Baiqian suddenly realized. She naturally had heard of the rumors about Zhou Sui and Lang Yuexi. The biggest rumor was that Zhou Sui helped Lang Yuexi detoxify, and in the end, Lang Yuexi fell in love with him at first sight. She had been wondering how they managed to get rid of the blue demon's severe poison. It was unthinkable that this man had obtained such a peculiar worm. Yes, that's right. Zhou Sui nodded, giving his command to the Golden Light Thousand Poison Goo. Swish! Suddenly, a transparent needle emerged from the mouth of the Golden Light Thousand Poison Goo, and it pierced Shen Baiqian instantly. It then generated an unparalleled suction force that quickly devoured the severe poison that had permeated Shen Baiqian's blood, transferring it into its stomach. Chapter 200, Advancing to Mid-Foundation Establishment Realm. In just a blink of an eye, the formerly incurable deadly poison had been completely consumed by the Golden Light Thousand Poison Goo, not even a trace of it was left behind. This miraculous creature is too powerful. After all, that was the blood fog poison manufactured by demons. It's rumored that once this blood fog poison invades the body, it paralyzes the nerves of the body, causing one to gradually lose their 5 senses. Simultaneously, one's mana within the body gets frozen, the meridians blocked, leaving the poisoned person as immobile as a corpse. Then, the poisoned individual would be taken by the demon to consume their life essence. This seemingly incurable poison was resolved just like that. Shen Baiqian appeared genuinely astonished, her beautiful eyes revealing a baffled expression. Truthfully, as a third-stage pill master, nobody understood her physical condition more clearly than she did. After all, to some extent, pill masters are considered cultivators' doctors. Not only can they refine various pills that enhance cultivation, but they also can create pills that detoxify and cure diseases. They are the medical professionals of the cultivation world. So, when she was poisoned, she had already tried various detoxification pills but to no avail. She had initially thought that her end was near. When she lost consciousness, she started wandering out of instinct. Unexpectedly, she arrived at Immortal Mist Sect by chance, coincidentally found by Zhou Sui, who then miraculously eliminated the deadly poison within her. To some extent, it seemed like a divine arrangement of destiny. It was nothing. Zhou Sui gave a modest smile. He sensed that the Golden Light Thousand Poison Goo was quite excited after consuming the blood fog poison. It exuded a faint golden light, making it incredibly enchanting, and even began developing a red poison line in its body. This was a distinct trait of the Golden Light Thousand Poison Goo. Upon devouring a certain poison, a new poison line forms on its body. The more types of poison it swallowed, the more lines it developed on its body. Unquestionably, this poison, equivalent to a third-stage poison, bore great benefits for it. At this moment, the goo could feel the poison in its body continuously accumulating and increasing while its own cultivation was rapidly rising. It seemed that it was not far away from the mid-class of second stage. For it, raising its cultivation is a simple process, that is, swallowing various poisons and toxins. Oh, sect leader Shen. Now that the severe poison in your body has been resolved, why don't you come back to the Immortal Mist Sect to recuperate for some time? After all, even if the severe poison is resolved, the body won't recover quickly. Zhou Sui invited. He looked earnestly at Shen Baiqian. What? Looking at those pure eyes, even Shen Baiqian, who had boldly lived for over 200 years, couldn't help but blush. Her heart pounded wildly, and her whole body felt warmer. Oh my god, what kind of feeling is this? Why is my heart beating so wildly? Even the Taiyan spirit fire inside my body is practically celebrating. Could it be, am I desiring the man in front of me? But, how ridiculous could that be? After all, she was a dignified Golden Core Master, it was absurd for her to have such feelings for a man at the Foundation establishment stage. Although this man is indeed incredibly handsome and full of charm. But she was the famous third-stage pill master Shen Baiqian, the well-known sect leader of the Danding faction. Zhou fellow deist, since you've already detoxified me, why not go the whole hog? Shen Baiqian looked intensely at Zhou Sui, her eyes gleamed as if a flame was brewing deep within. She knew that if she allowed this man to return to the Immortal Mist Sect, she might not get such a good opportunity again. So she wouldn't let him return so quickly. Well, sect leader Shen, what do you want me to help with? Zhou Sui asked curiously. He instinctively felt that something was amiss, and based on his many years of experience, he recognized the woman in front of him to be as ferocious as a tiger. The Taiyan spirit fire within me is restless. Why don't you help me to stifle it? Shen Baiqian chuckled and pounced. Night passed. Zhou Sui looked satisfied. The events of last night were self-evident. This wasn't his first time experiencing the charm of a golden core female cultivator. He had expended a lot of effort, but it was all worth it. He had acquired the union energy from the golden core female cultivator's body, which greatly enhanced his cultivation. Originally, his cultivation was very close to the Foundation establishment middle phase. Now, with the aid of this energy, there were basically no bottlenecks. Everything had been accomplished smoothly. It was as if everything fell into place rather naturally. Usually, for an ordinary cultivator at the peak of the Foundation establishment early phase to break through the bottleneck and reach the middle phase, at least 10 to even 30 years would be required. Some cultivators were even stuck for hundreds of years without being able to break through. But Zhou Sui was different. He practiced the ultimate insect god sutra, with an exceedingly solid foundation, and the assistance of a golden core female cultivator had given him wings to fly. So he easily achieved the breakthrough without any real obstacle. Rumble. At this moment, Zhou Sui used his divine sense to perceive the condition inside his body. His Danshan Qi had expanded once again, and 100 drops of dark golden liquid mana engendered a dark pond, releasing a formidable aura.